Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Our foundation, the Circle Cinema Foundation, was formed late 2002, and it was kind of put together by people that were really looking for a place in Tulsa to show kind of art house films or meaningful films and do some educational programming using film as a actual education tool with schools. So the kind of principals and founders connected with the historic Circle Theater that had been boarded up and empty and vacant for about 10 years. So they put the financial resources together from local funders and donors that kind of pooled resources and was able to purchase the original theater space that had originally opened in 1928. And the space next to it that had actually originally been retail space. So that's kind of how it got started. And then we actually opened the theater in 2005. Well, originally when Circle Cinema was conceived, there had been a kind of an art house cinema downtown shortly. For a short time, it had closed and was there no longer. And there, of course, have been lots of movie theaters. The Circle was the only historic movie theater left in Tulsa that had actually opened before the 1940s. And we currently are the only historical movie theater in Tulsa that still exists and runs as a movie theater. So it was those very early days. There wasn't any theaters in town doing kind of art house themed or using film as a educational tool. So it was sort of a pioneer. We were sort of a pioneer in that realm. And what's interesting though is I think it was maybe the 70s. Of course, none of us were involved at that time, but there was envisioning done and sort of proposals and ideas for the redevelopment of the Kendall Whittier district, which is the area of town that we are in. And they had envisioned, wouldn't it be neat if this old theater that was not being used could be like an art house themed movie theater. And it was sort of shown in drawings and conceptions of what the area could look like. So it's interesting to look back at some of those and see what people envisioned could happen and then see what actually did happen whenever we were able to open. We're all for people being entertained by film. I mean, going to the movies was kind of the only entertainment that a lot of people had in early days. And it was the escapism. Even during the Depression, movie theaters were still very popular. It was relatively inexpensive and people could go enjoy something like that and escape all the challenges that they had to deal with their jobs or lack of jobs and just it was affordable kind of entertainment. But it was also educational then too, with the newsreels and such that they used to show in movie theaters where it was that people didn't have TVs, so you saw a lot of news coverage and information about what was happening in the world through these newsreels. So it's not really a new concept. And I think with art house cinemas, it's an opportunity for people to see films that are not at the traditional chain movie theaters, because those are more of the blockbuster type films. These are films that come from around the world, so there's an opportunity to enlighten people and expand their horizons with a foreign film or something shot in another country. Even people learning how to read subtitles is kind of a skill that a lot of people have embraced and do very easily now, where it was maybe challenging a bit at first. And then with being able to be an educational offering, it's one thing to watch film on a TV or a computer screen or your phone or a tablet, or even in a classroom where there's a lot of stuff going on. It's sort of magical to watch a film in a movie theater with a lot of people you don't know. It's dark, you're not distracted by things that you would be distracted if you were watching it at home or on your phone or whatever. So it creates an environment where it's more captive. You're more of a captive audience, and it's bigger than life. It's on a big screen, so you're drawn into it even more. So it's an opportunity to really connect with the message that the film is trying to convey. And if it's educational or a documentary about a subject that they're trying to get across, you're just more interested or more aware of it. But we're all for entertainment too. It's really fun to have films that people are laughing, they're music films where they're enjoying and singing along. So there's just been a wide variety of films and presentations that we've done and really brought to audiences that they wouldn't get otherwise. So our part of town that the Circle Cinema is in is called the Kendall Whittier District. We are also on the original alignment of Route 66 as it came into Tulsa. It came into Tulsa on Admiral Boulevard and then came through this area. And so it has a lot of history to it, but going back to even the early days of Tulsa being settled, it was somewhat of a demarcation line with tribal lands. So it seems like our street, our Lewis Avenue and Admiral Boulevard, that are sort of our closest cross streets, have really served as distinguishing different segments of tribal land, as well as even later on. So I don't know if it's just something about this part of town, I guess. We're just directly east of downtown. So we've done several programs with various tribes. So it's always interesting and neat and somewhat moving to have tribal programs in our theater when we know that we are on and are surrounded by lots of tribal land.
I think there's been a big movement within that's happened recently about Indigenous people telling their own stories, and that's something that we feel is very important, regardless of really anything. Like, I think the stories coming from the communities is very important. So we want to be a place, a venue for those films to happen, and that's been something that's grown recently, and we've been here to support it. I'm trying to go back as far and try to think of like the origins of like a lot of films that we probably saw growing up, where I would say in most part white people telling Native stories, trying to interpret them, and not doing a good job. So like I was saying, I think it's important for Natives to tell their own stories. Our program, the Native Spotlight program that we offer, is one that, we'll bring out a Native American filmmaker or Indigenous filmmaker and have them here to introduce and do a Q&A following the film, and then also tell their story, show their films, and really support that. I think for the most part, for me, I think what I hear feedback-wise when we do these programs is that people like seeing themselves represented authentically, and they like seeing these stories where they're like real people and they're not romanticized and all those kind of things. So as far as education, I think it's for the general public, I think for them to see Native American people as real people living real lives like everybody does is important. The Native Spotlight program for the last couple years has been sponsored by the Flint Family Foundation, and that's a Native-owned nonprofit. And she supported that program in the past, and then people have come out of the woodwork to help support it, just because they know it's important for these films to be shown. For me, I think it's important for people just to be here to see the stories, to hear people tell these important stories that need to be told. So being here, buying a ticket, interacting with the filmmakers that we bring is very important. So we travel to film festivals around the country, a lot of in Oklahoma, and then outside of there, and like Sundance Institute does they do a ton of work supporting Native filmmakers. And I actually worked for that program for a little bit and got to meet a bunch of people, and privileged to be in that community to know a lot of those filmmakers, which also know a lot of other people and expand out from there. And so, I'll reach out to Sterling or Black Horse Low, some filmmakers that I know, and those guys are on the beat of what's happening right now with Native film, and they give me feedback and stuff to look out for. So Bird Running Water is a Native filmmaker from Mescalero, but he went to OU and he runs the Native program at Sundance. So he's kind of I couldn't say how much work that he's done behind the scenes to promote people, even on the level of Taika Waititi, which is a big Indigenous filmmaker from New Zealand. He went through Bird's program, Sterling went through Bird's program, Black Horse went through that Sundance program, and he's been a leader in the Indigenous program, Indigenous films for a long time. Yeah, so during this COVID shutdown, we brainstormed ideas of how do we keep going, how do we stay relevant, how do we keep interacting with the community. So we came up with virtual screenings. People can rent those online. Another program was the marquee rental that we did, and that was very popular for people that didn't get to graduate and have all the regular graduation stuff, so they got to announce their graduation stuff on the marquee. That's been a huge part of people showing support, but also us staying in touch with the community, and it's been real popular. I mean, it's every single day there's new messages on both sides of people that have rented it. Yeah, we're opening we're opening July 3rd, I think is the date. I'm kind of off, sorry. But we'll be reopening, and we're gonna open up with 25% capacity, and so that is still limited and people won't feel comfortable coming back to movie theaters, and totally understandable. But we still will offer films streaming as well at our website at circlecinema.org. And I think that's something that will continue. We've done veterans events and different events where I think maybe people might not have the ability to make it down here, like older folks, or even long distance. So you'll be able to kind of stay in touch with us through social media and our YouTube channel with streaming events. Yeah, well, I thank you guys for everything you guys do. You're a part of the community as well. We reach out to you. We've done the radio show down in Okmulgee. So you're a part of this community as well, and we appreciate everything you guys have done. Yeah, we have social media at Circle Cinema, everything's at Circle Cinema. So if you want to follow us there, and also please contact us if you see a film or there's a specific story that you think needs to be shown at Circle. We're always open to listen. So.
So y'all play often?
Every Thursday, yeah, we go to a different course.
Okay, everybody puts the ball in this basket, in this bucket, and then we throw them in the air. 4-man teams, the closest 4 are partners.
I go by the old philosophy of Mr. Coleman down there on 75 down in Upmoge. I worked for them 23 years, and he always said if you serve a good product, a decent price, and a clean establishment, they'll come. My name is George Johnson. I'm from Morris, Oklahoma. Me and my wife, Tammy, we own Johnson Stepping Stone Cafe here in Bixby, 4 North Armstrong. I wrote it down on paper in 2000, and my wife retired in 2012. So we was going to open up the end of 2013, that was our goal, but we opened up May 1st, 2013. Johnson Stepping Stone. Well, it's supposed to be Stepping Stone Cafe. I was going to name it after my wife, but I couldn't. My wife said no, so I was coming down 151st Street listening to the Oasis station. And Stepping Stone came to me. Yeah. Listen to the radio, and that's where we get Stepping Stone, because this is a stepping stone. To me, it's a stepping stone to people. We don't expect people to stay here because we got a lot of college kids, high school kids. It's a stepping stone in their life. They'll come to work here and then they go on to college. We got 4 children. Like I said, it's a family-owned restaurant. We all work here. The kids work a regular job, and then at night they come in and help. My daughter's here today, and she's off today at her regular job, so she come to help us out. We have a lot of families. We have a lot of repeat customers. You know, I'm trying to make where the retired people or they're living on fixed income to come in and have a decent meal at a decent price. Right. And it seems to be working because some of them come in once a day, some of them come in twice a day. I do the Indian tacos all day Wednesday, and you know it's got the traditional fry bread, and then you know the beans, taco meat, lettuce, tomatoes, cheese, and onions, sour cream, and salsa up on request. Then on the traditional Indians, I run wild onions. Yeah, in season I run wild onions. Well, actually I run it all year. In season I get them fresh, and I let the churches do theirs first because that's their fundraisers. Then I do it usually in April. In the 1st of April I start running it. We shut down the dining room March the 20th. About a week later they ordered everybody to shut down, but I decided to shut it down because 70% of my clientele are 60 and over. And they were saying that it's affecting the elderly. You know, half my family works there. My mother-in-law, she's in her 80s, so we was trying to protect her too. We are doing a social distancing, 6 foot apart. We just opened up yesterday on the 2nd. since March.
Right.
Because we are very small, 48 seaters, so right now we can only have 24 people in here. All my employees are wearing gloves and masks and washing their hands. That window ain't never been used. I don't know, it's probably 25 years, I guess. But we went through the window, and people will call in the orders, or woke up and placed the order, and we'll get it ready, and then we'll hand it back, get it to them. Most people, they pay with debit cards, credit cards, and we just didn't have them sign it. You know, we was trying to take every precaution. We got hand sanitizer out there if they like to use it. I'm here usually at least 15 hours a day.
Summer going into freshman year, me and my friend went out to the driving range at some golf courses and just hit range balls just for fun. And we both turned out that we really liked it and we wanted to play it in high school, and there was really no other girl that played in high school. And we were gonna do it together, so we did. We played freshman year together. We weren't the best our freshman year. But then rolled around sophomore year and my Papa Gino wanted to go play golf with me. And he was like, you actually have really good natural talent and I want to buy you some clubs that you can use throughout the rest of your high school golf. And so he did, and I loved them and we played all the time with them. Oh, I don't know why, but we went to this like sun and ski place and we were looking at life jackets, and my grandma answered the phone and I heard my mom, and I knew something had happened, but I didn't really know what it was. And then I heard her say my Papa Gino, and I just had a gut feeling like that's why I wasn't going to play golf, because something bad had happened. And then I heard that right after he teed off, a hole one, he had a massive heart attack, and all he cared about was how good his shot was. So he wanted to know how close to the green he was, and I know it. And so it was really hard to play golf with those clubs, but it was also a good motivation and inspirational thing to know that he was always there with me. And if I hit a bad hole, I knew what he was saying to me, but it was used as motivation most of the time. Junior year rolled around, and that's when I really started taking it serious, and I really wanted to see how good I could get. And I actually placed 5th at regionals. I couldn't really believe it. Like, I knew that I did really good, but I didn't think I did that good that I was gonna place 5th out of like 60 girls that were there. And some of the schools I knew that were there, I was just like, how did I just do that? And so I was really shook, I guess, that I got it, but I didn't really know what to think. Went to the state tournament and it was pouring rain. We got called in for tornado sirens like 3 times. It was an awful experience, but it was good to have my coach, my mom, and a lot of my family support calling me at 5 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock at night when they knew we started and finished. And it was a really good experience, and I really wish I could have done more than 1 tournament my senior year to see how far I could have got with my talent. Most importantly about golf, it's not the shot that you just hit, it's the shot that's next that counts the most. And no matter what, you have to have a positive mindset throughout the whole thing. If you have one negative thought in your head, it's just gonna ruin. So you have to be very strong and powerful throughout golf, not only in your mind and your swing and everything, and just make it seem like it's effortless. That's literally how I've learned. It's not anything but let the club do the work. I think it definitely affected Morris only having 2 golf girls. Most importantly, it's just a bond that you create with other girls in that sport, and having each other there throughout golf is also very important. You want to have people there to help you, and we didn't really have that. I mean, me and Mackenzie really just had each other, and it was a really good thing that we were good friends. I do look forward to that in college, having a lot of other teammates than I did in high school. I'm very excited to see the other girls' talents and share mine with them, and hope to become better as a team and better friends with them. I was involved in cheer my entire life, and I didn't cheer my freshman year. I cheered my sophomore and junior year. I didn't cheer my senior year. Basketball was probably my other favorite sport other than golf. I loved basketball. I was pretty good at it, not to brag, but I loved it a lot. And softball I played most my entire life. I played slow pitch and fast pitch, and slow pitch was definitely my favorite of the two. I was a lot better at slow pitch than I was fast pitch. It was a lot easier to hit the ball in slow pitch than it was. But other than that, golf was my main favorite sport. Well, having slow pitch and golf in the same season, it was really hard, but I never missed a softball game and I never missed a golf tournament. I remember the one time I had a golf tournament in Eufaula and a softball game in Beggs, and we ran late at the golf tournament because there were 4 girls in my group that didn't want to eat lunch fast, and I was literally running. My mom took me to the softball game, and I was literally running in my golf skirt, running to the dugout to change and into my softball uniform. And believe it or not, we did. They waited on me, and it might have been a tiring, miserable softball game, but we still did it and we won, so it was okay. Getting my senior year cut short was really hard, being in 2 different seasons, golf and slow pitch softball. Slow pitch softball, we had just gotten a new coach, Bucky Uten. He was also our principal, and he was amazing. He really worked with us and cared about the basics, which is really what it gets brought back to. But golf was really hard. We only had 1 tournament, and I really wanted to see, knowing how hard I had worked over all the different seasons and all throughout that year, I really wanted to see my results that I had for me, knowing that I was going to be committed and I needed to do better. So I practiced and I practiced, and I really wanted to see and show the town that I was committed for a reason and I deserved it. Not having the sports banquet this year, I think, was really hard on everyone in Morris Public Schools. The sports banquet is where every student athlete gets noticed for their awards and achievements that they've had throughout their year. A wise woman once told me that it's not over until the sports banquet. Well, my senior year was definitely cut short before the sports banquet, but Keisha Hill definitely did not let anyone cry during any season, the ending of it, the beginning of it, anything, until the sports banquet. That's when it was over. But I think she would have accepted the tears before the sports banquet this year. After graduating Fort Scott, I plan to attend OU College of Dentistry in Bartlesville and hope to be a dental hygienist so I can clean your teeth. I'm just kidding, I don't know. I don't know, that was so cringy. Okay.